Hello my friends, and welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. Today I'm going to be using the brand new Catherine Pooler inks, and here they are in their gloriousness. Now these are called the Date Night Collection, and the colors come in Do-Si-Do, Pucker Up, Chiffon, Catching Rays, In the Park, Cummerbund, Serenade, and Drive-In. So they are just absolutely beautiful. And here I have just my little swatches of the colors that I have, and it's these last two rows that are the brand new ones. You can see how absolutely beautiful they are, all stamped out. And I love them. So pretty. And they do stamp really beautifully. They have a lot of uses, and we're going to go over a couple. Today is going to be a day one, sort of. And I'm going to be using this stamp set called Hey There Dumpling, and it's got the matching dies as well. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're doing first. Like I said, this is going to kind of be like a day one. We're going to have a day two where we use the inks again, and we use a different technique, and we'll use the same stamp set. All right, so what I'm doing is I have some Distress watercolor paper, and I've used a little piece of acetate, and I've put some of that chiffon ink right on it and then spritzed some water right on top, and then I put that right down onto the paper, and here comes Miles. The next color I grabbed was the Cummerbund, and then I move Miles out of the way because he really wants to be quite involved, and then I'll clean that off, and then the next color I bring in is Pucker Up, and now Max wants to be involved. It's a wonder I get anything done, I'm telling you. All right, so I am going to dry this in between, but I am going to layer this up just a tiny bit just to add a little bit more texture to that background. But I'm wiping off that acetate in between, and I'm going to come back in with that chiffon. But like I said, I'm going to heat set this first because I want that to be good and dried. And you'll see that they do blend a little bit. Those colors do blend a little. So that is definitely fun. But I'll bring in that chiffon again. It'll definitely bring that pucker up and make a different kind of an orange. And then you'll get almost like a little bit of a green when you mix that chiffon with the cummerbund. I'll come in again with the Cummerbund. I'm not going to come in with Pucker Up again though, because I figured that was a very bright, bold color and there was plenty there. So I'm just going to come in with that Cummerbund, and then we'll heat set that, and then we'll move on to our next step. But this is going to be our background. I really love how that turned out with those three colors. Now I've just got a piece of Neenah cardstock. This is some solar white cardstock. I'm going to pull out that Hello Dumpling, or Hey There Dumpling stamp set, and I'm going to ink up my little dumplings with the color Catching Rays. It's a beautiful cross between like a yellow and an orange. It's nice and bright, and I want my dumplings to be nice and bright. So I'm stamping out 3 of them, and then this little set has faces. It has 2 separate faces. That one right there has stolen my heart. I love it. He's like squinting. Oh my gosh. And then the next one is the little smiley face. So I'll stamp that on the other 2. And then it also has cheeks. So that color that I used for the faces was Drive-In. And now I'm bringing in the Do-Si-Do for their little cheeks. And I think that just sets it over the edge. Now I'll bring in the matching die. I'm going to run this through my mini die cutting machine. And if I were smart, I'd tape it down, but I'm not. And I guess it's just because I figure I have one die to run through. I like to play with fire, apparently. It works out fine, but it doesn't always work out fine. I sometimes wonder how much time I might save if I actually did tape things down, because that one moved, right? I don't know. Who knows? So it works out fine. I get all 3 of them die cut out, and then we're going to move on to doing a little bit more stamping. So I'll set those little cuties off to the side, and then I've got another piece, or the rest of that Neenah cardstock. I'm just taking the top part. It's almost like a cork top that's supposed to go on the soy sauce bottle or the sake bottle or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to take that Drive-In ink, and I'm going to stamp that all across the bottom. I want to make a border, and I know it looks really, really messy right now, but it'll come together when I cut it out. I just needed a little bit more. And so I figured I would take what was in the stamp set and kind of work with that. So I'll bring in my guillotine trimmer, and then I'm going to trim this down. I'll end up trimming it down a little bit more, but I'm also going to stamp out the chopsticks using that Drive-In ink. And then, like I said, we'll bring in that guillotine trimmer and we'll trim down that border. And you'll see what I'm going to do with it. Trying to figure out exactly how to put that through the guillotine trimmer. And then, like I said, I'm going to trim it down a little bit smaller later. We'll use our matching die for our chopsticks, and then run that through our die cutting machine. because I just felt like those little dumplings needed those chopsticks to be right behind them. And then I'm going to stamp out the sentiment using some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and it says, "Hey there, dumpling." Is that not adorable? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So yeah, here's where I decide I'm going to trim that down just a little bit more, because right now it's not looking straight. I know it is straight, but I think what's throwing me off is that I didn't get it stamped all the way to the upper edge. So I'll trim that down a little more. Then I will use some liquid glue to adhere that down to the bottom. So we've just got this fun little border. You could completely skip that step, but I just think it adds a little something to the card. And then we'll glue down our chopsticks. But to adhere our dumplings, I'm going to use some 3D foam squares. Because, yeah, why not? And I'm just using a few big ones. But before I go ahead and adhere those down, I am going to pull out my card base. I have cut this down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm going to score that at 4.25 inches. So this will be a side folding A2 size card. And then I'm going to do some stamping on the inside of that here in a minute. So let's attach down our dumplings. Like I said, that one with the squinty eyes, he's like giving this cute little smile. He's so excited his eyes are closed. And so I'll attach those down, and then we'll do our stamping on the inside. So I've pulled out a fortune cookie, and you could put a face on that too. I don't know why I didn't do that, but yes, you could absolutely put a face on that. And then I've pulled out the little paper that would go with our fortune cookie, and then the sentiment that would go on the paper. There's a few sentiments that you could choose from. I'm going to pull out the Chiffon ink for my fortune cookie. I'll stamp that down on the inside, and then I'm going to clean that off, and I'll grab the little paper piece and the In the Park ink. It's kind of a pretty minty ink, a little bit darker than like a minty color. And then for the sentiment, I'll grab the drive-in ink again, stamp that on the paper. And then there are a few hearts in this set. So there's a couple of bigger ones that have a pattern on them, and then there are a couple smaller ones. And the second to last smaller one is just this adorable little heart. I'm going to pull out the Do-Si-Do ink and stamp that a couple times on our inside here. And then the smallest heart is itty bitty. It is so tiny, but it's so cute. So I'll pull that out and ink that a couple of times, or stamp that a couple times on the inside here as well. Love how that turned out. Now I'll attach down my card panel to my card base using that same liquid glue that I've been using. And once that is attached, that is going to finish off our card for today. Like I said, this is kind of like a day one of day two, or of 2 days. So you'll see that stamp set again tomorrow, and you'll see it used in a different way, a little bit different, but using the same inks. If you liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and be sure to check out the new colors. I'll have them all linked down below. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.